The Unused Subs are kicking off again at our home ground of Tyler Street Sport, Auckland FC's official home from first sip to final cheers. In a busy week for Kiwi football, the bench looks strong with Paul Eiffel, Jacob Spoonley, myself, Goran Paladin, and our first ever guest returns. It's all-white central defender, Tommy Smith. We now know who the All Whites are going to face at the FIFA World Cup of 26. We know when they're going to play, where they're going to play. It's all very exciting to see things come to fruition. And we'll park that just for the moment because we've got the small, very
is
teeny...
it a tease?
Yeah, the massive tease, because we've got the very small, insignificant matter of a Kiwi Derby, the fifth one that your old boys, Tommy Smith, Auckland FC, have won over Wellington Phoenix. What did you make of it, mate? And welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me on. Now, obviously, it was on at 4 a.m. in the morning for me, so I just woke up and saw the result straight away. Obviously, brilliant. Always rooting for the boys to do well, and to keep that run going over the Knicks is great to see. And I have to give, before we start, a special shout out to Josh Oluwayemi on his performance.
Oh, go on, Tommy.
Saved 2 penalties in a match. Even though he's a Knicks player, I'm going to have to give him a bit of credit. No, he was obviously superb, and he pulled off some magnificent saves aside from the penalties as well. So it could have been a lot bigger scoreline, but no, fair play to him for his performance. And you have to give him special kudos when a keeper pulls off 2 penalty saves in one match.
No, I think it was superb, mate. And Auckland's been looking, or asking rather, for a penalty for so long. They get 2. They haven't converted either of them, which the football gods love a bit of irony. But Tommy, just coming back to it before we get into the details, you're an Auckland lad. Auckland showed up again. I think we got around about 24,000
Yeah, 23K.
Just under capacity. Yet again, it feels like the football narrative, this derby, is unique. It's setting itself apart from anything else in the country. What do you, over the course of your 17, 18 professional years, look at this and be like, yeah, there's a bit of my DNA in there?
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant to see, and obviously we say it every time. It's the port and the energy they bring are magnificent for the game, and they've added a real extra dimension, and it's something that Auckland had never seen before, really. In the previous iterations of professional teams in Auckland, they never had that sort of fan base backing them from the start, and it's special to see. My brother and his 2 kids are in there every week, every home game, and they absolutely love it, and they feel like it's such a community within the port. Everyone sort of has got to know each other over the past 12 months, and it's a great thing to see. And I know a lot of international communities are mixed in there as well. Obviously, football's a special thing that brings people together, and none more so than at the Auckland FC games.
I feel it's a different kind of special when it comes to the Wellington Phoenix, because they've been beaten 5 different ways by this all-conquering Auckland FC side. What's it going to take for the Knicks to win a game in this derby?
Blimey, I wish I knew. If I was there, I'd let them know, I think. Bloody hell. It's been a tough run. I think the longer it goes, the harder it gets to find a way out. And I think you're right in terms of they've done it in different ways, and I think that's difficult. I think if they were turning up with the same game plan each time, you'd be able to go, right, okay, we need to negate this, and this is where we can find a way in. And they could just mix it up. And I think, I said it from day one. I was lucky enough to go in last week and have a look at what they do, and you just sat at the table, and there's just winners everywhere. And I'm just talking about the staff. Forget the players just for a minute, but you go in there. You've got Steve Corica, you've got Danny Hay, you've got Jonathan Gould, like
Terry McFlynn.
Yeah, no, it's true. Terry McFlynn's been there, done it. Like the guys that really understand the game. They really understand what it takes to win. They've recruited really well. They've got the right people in the right places, and the place is just buzzing at the moment. So, like, how do you slow that down? I think that the only way is they slow themselves down. I think the Phoenix have got to keep bridging the gap, which is crazy to think we're in that position when the Phoenix have had a 15-year head start. So, I think you've got to give kudos to all the people from the top that have made the right appointments and got things right so quickly. And I think if you look at Bill Foley's first interview, I remember watching that thinking, oh, God, we're in trouble. Because he was like, we're not just in this to make up the numbers for a couple of years and then start challenging. We're winning from day one. And I remember thinking, cool, blimey, he's a bit bullish, you know. This guy doesn't really know football over here, but you look at his track record everywhere else, and he sticks by it. And to see what they're doing is quite frightening, really, for somebody who's followed the Knicks for a while. I don't know how we bridge the gap, but again, that's on Chiefy to do those bits and pieces over the next little while. They've got one more chance this year, but I don't see Auckland slowing down anytime, that's for sure.
Auckland seemed to reset and they reverted back to the side that we saw last season. So it was a very kind of intense, physically demanding. They were invested in the game. They hit the Phoenix with pace. Yes, exactly.
Rogerson out wide.
They looked balanced.
Yeah.
And it looked like they drew upon what they had last season. I actually don't think the Knicks were too far off. But I think they got caught again. And the moment they got caught was just after halftime. They just come out of the sheds. I'm sure we'll get into it in a second. But
let's do it.
That's the moment, though. That's the intensity that the derby brings. If you switch off, it's gone.
The moment, Tommy, that Jacob's talking about is, 20 seconds into the second half. We've got Manjrekar James colliding with Sam Cosgrove, and he earns himself a red card. Now, I reckon you would have been in two minds here, Tommy, because you're a former Auckland FC player and you want them to have the advantage, but as a central defender, you would feel something for Manjrekar James in that moment. Was it worthy of a red card, in your opinion?
By the letter of the law, yes. And I think obviously you see what happened in the previous derby with Dan Hall. It's not too dissimilar situation to that, you know. Sam Cosgrove's in on goal and he has bundled into him from behind and brought him down. So, and because it's outside the box, he has to give the red card for me. And I think it was a fairly simple decision. Once they'd sort of worked out whether it was inside or outside the box, I think he had to give a red card. And listen, I've been in that position myself once before where I've been sent off. Well, no, twice actually. I got once for the All Whites as well.
Was that against China?
Yeah, it was on my 50th cap, to remember.
Melt smart.
But I've had one similarly when it's just outside the box and it's coming together, and obviously the strikers always make a meal of it more than they need to, and they're entitled to do that if they feel contact, you know, that it's not a dive if there's contact. So Sam Cosgrove has done the right thing, and he's gained an advantage for his team.
James will be annoyed at himself because James is quicker than Cosgrove, right? And there's no pressure on the ball, and as Tommy will tell you, should be dropping in that moment, and he just takes a step or two forward, and you can see it in his face. He's like, oh God, I've gone. And then he turns to try and chase. And again, I think if he can get himself out of his line, he probably manages to get a tackle sort of round the side, and he might be able to get touched on the ball, and he knows he can't quite get there, and then it's just that little touch, and it's enough. And you know, you're hoping almost beyond hope that it's in the box and it's just a pen.
It's so bizarre to say, though, isn't it?
I know.
I want to give away a pen.
Yeah, I know, but you do.
Well, there was a moment in the first half as well where they've tried to keep that high line, and Lockie Brooks got in behind, and he has showed his pace, and he's got back and made the challenge, but it's so close to the goal already that he hasn't got time to get around him to get back, and he's just bundled into it.
Well, I think the way that play is so important, isn't it, James? Because he has that pace. If you want to play that real high line, you need somebody who can bail you out of trouble when someone gets in. And he'd have known he had the legs to beat. You know, he's already done it with Brooke. He would have known he'd done it with Cosgrove. But you've probably done it with yourself before. It's so difficult to keep that line. And one little time you get that concentration wrong or your focus goes and you're dead in the water. And I think, again, now without James, they're going to stick with it because that's what Chiefy does. So you've got another game where you've got guys that are probably too slow to play the system. Trying to employ that moving forward.
It's only up against the nippy forwards from Newcastle as well, I feel. So, but let's rewind, because I think one of the really cool things that when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that makes absolute sense. Lockie Brooke into the 10, Logan Rogerson down the right-hand side, coming back in off the suspension, and 7 minutes in, Auckland stretch Wellington down that right-hand side, both players add to what is already a fantastic portfolio of goals from Auckland in the derby. But I think that's where the game got up and just started running and just never, ever looked back from that point.
What I really liked was Logan's decision-making. I think it was a great ball from Callan. It's that underlapping run that you're looking for from somebody sort of going beyond in that blind side of the defender. There's nothing they can do. And then once you're in, I love the two runs from the forwards. I think it's Jesse and Cosgrove. They go across.
Yes.
One of them goes across the front, which is a killer for the goalkeeper. It's a killer for the defender. You're not sure what to do. Everybody's eyes are on that sort of near post. And then Logan, in all honesty, I think he's really improved in this part of his game, his decision making. It's a great ball, and as soon as it leaves his foot, you can see the defenders are like, no, and it's in that spot where you now can't turn to get there, and you're hoping one of the midfield runners has tracked, and they didn't. And then it's on Brooke. It's not on Brooke's favourite side, but he knows he has to hit the target.
It's a great finish, isn't it, Ify? Like it's a difficult finish.
On your weak foot, everybody in the stadium is expecting you to score that, but as it's coming to you on your weak foot, you're just thinking, right, target, and it's a great finish, and to do it early again, which they seem to be letting in a lot of goals early, the Phoenix, and then rallying and getting themselves back into the game. But when you let a side like Auckland FC go in front early, it's hard to peg them back.
The mantra all last season is forward runs, getting behind teams, and Logan's done that again as he does so regularly. And like Ify says, it's a fantastic decision to cut back, because the mixed defenders were actually in really good positions to stop any balls that were going to be fizzed across the face. So fantastic decision from Logs, and a great finish on his weak foot, as he said.
It was another fantastic game between our two Kiwi teams. And look, I think we're basically all in agreement that the first incident, that the red card incident called by Adam Kersey, was correct. However, there were two more flashpoints which led to those penalties.
There was a change of the referee around about 65 minutes in. Yeah, I noticed it.
I'm loath to talk about the referee, but Adam Kersey's influence across that one, especially in the final third of the game in terms of minutes played, it just left me with a sour taste in my mouth. Ify, what did you make of those two penalties? The one where Eza and Cosgrove collide, and then Dan Edwards barely touched him and Cosgrove went down again.
I didn't necessarily think that either were pens. As a defender, which I'm not, we'll ask Tommy in a second, but I'd have been gutted to give away those. I think, you got a big, strong boy in Cosgrove. He loves a wrestle. In all of that said, I don't think the refereeing changed the course of the game, in a sense. I think the red card was the red card, and I think take away the two pens, I still think Auckland win the games. I don't think it was bad enough for us to be, hanging the ref out to dry and saying he changed the course of it. But you want to see consistency going forward. If those two are fouls, Jesus, watch out! Like, there's going to be pens given every single game of the A-League, because people are going to get hands on bodies. It's a contact sport, and it was almost like, I think even Cosgrove couldn't believe one of them. He was surprised he got it. He was waiting for the ref to tell him to get up, and then he's pointed to the spot, and you're like, wow, for that.
Hate to do this, Tommy, but it did remind me of a certain penalty that Italy scored, mate. Sorry. But I want
almost 16 years ago.
But put the audience in the shoes of the defender at that moment, mate, because I've got no problems with Sam doing what he did, because he's trying to buy the opportunity. He's trying to win every single margin he can, and he asked the question of the referee. But pick my words carefully here. It did feel like there was a generosity there in some of those decisions.
I think the first one for me, when he's got two hands around him, I think that's a lot easier to give. But the second one, like you say, he doesn't even appeal for that one, and the game's still going on. I mean, he almost looks to see if he can get up and join back in with play. So I think the second one's harsh, definitely. But I feel like the first one, he's got wrong side of his man. He's then used two hands to grab him to try and stop his run. I think that's an easier one to give in that scenario. Again, going down probably makes the referee's mind up for him when he watches it back on the VAR. But the second one is probably a bit harsh in my eyes. Yeah.
The thing that frustrated me was that with the first one, Kersey didn't call it, and you can argue that he didn't see it, which is fine. You get sent to the VAR. He doesn't go and have a look at the second one. And I think that's the bit that I get a little bit frustrated with, Ify, is that the process seemed inconsistent, and you could see Alex Rufer and Lucas Kelly-Heald arguing, protesting and saying, look, you need to go and have a look at this one. That said, 12 yards out, neither penalty's converted. No. And coming back to Tommy's point before, Josh Oluwayemi.
It could have been 7-1 or 8-1. Like
10
such
saves,
were the saves
10 saves
that he pulled off that day. Yeah, incredible performance. And I mean, you can speak to it better than anyone here, mate, being a former goalkeeper. But I'll get Tommy's thoughts first. The difference from what we've seen Josh Oluwayemi last season, when the Phoenix were trying to play out from deep and it was a different style, to now he's just he's sweeping half the field, but he's just this shot stopper. He's grown in the last 12 months, is essentially what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's probably the first time he's really had consistent games of football in his career at this level. And yeah, he's reaping the rewards of that now. Obviously he had that terrible moment in the first derby down in Wellington where he's gifted the ball to Brimmer and managed to put it away. And that would have taken a lot to come back from. And to be fair to him, he's gone away. He's obviously worked hard, and yeah, like you say, he's made some fantastic saves throughout the course of this season. From what I've seen, none more so than in the derby. And it's great to see someone like that has the mental resilience to come through those tough moments. So fair play to him, and it was like you say, it could have been almost a cricket score another day if he wasn't in the form he was in.
Talk us through it, mate. What impressed you the most about his performance?
I think obviously everyone goes to the penalties, and that's just man v man at that point. And to come up with the saves and then to have the conviction to go back the same way. I don't even know if I had a chance to chat to him after the game, but I'm not sure if he was prepared because Auckland didn't have a penalty up until that point. So he hadn't
hard to do the research.
hadn't seen much. Maybe they've gone back to Sam's Aberdeen games, might have looked at some National League for Francis. If that's the case, then great. But for me, it started immediately after the red card. There were two saves. One was at the near post, and there was perhaps another one was off the corner, I think, or it was a cross. He's got himself into really good positions, and he's balanced. He's nice and still before the ball's hit. And those saves, I think, are really important because if one of those goes in, then I think that's where the castle starts to crumble because it's that PTSD for the Phoenix. There's been a mistake made. They're getting punished. It's in front of the port. And that's where things really could have gone on the slide. The other thing and the underappreciated thing, and I think you saw this in the celebration after the first penalty, I think it was, is he's right in front of the port, Ify. And the additional pressure and the weight and the scrutiny that comes as a goalkeeper to Tommy's point that's made a mistake in a derby, and Tommy's brother might have been reminding him about that mistake in the second half. They're trying to get into your brain. They're trying to influence you, and Josh he never allowed them the chance to do that. And I think that equally, with all the highlights, those two things are probably the most impressive in my mind.
Yeah, look, I'd agree. I think we talked about this before. We had him on the Sky panel after a couple of those mistakes and a couple of those games where he was really struggling. And the one thing I noticed about it, he was happy to come and front it and go, yeah, and hold his hand up and go, listen, that's not good enough. That's not acceptable. And he basically said, I need to go away and I need to work on some things. And then he'd finish with us and he'd go over and sign 1 million autographs and he'd be the last one out there. And I remember thinking, geez, this guy's humble, he's driven, he's resilient. Like, I really wanted it to turn around for him. I wasn't sure it was going to, if I'm honest. But when you've got that kind of mindset, I think good things happen to good people. So to see that, yes, he's on the wrong end of it, but it's really cool that we're talking about what he's managed to do. And there was a long period last year where he couldn't get in the team. And like I said, I thought he got hung out to dry a little bit because they were asking him to do something that he's not really good at. But you look at him in this system, difficult system, by the way, like you said, you're sweeping up to halfway. But as a shot stopper, he's so athletic, so bouncy, as I like to call him. He looks like he's one of those keepers. You have to put a little bit more on it to score, which means you end up missing more. It'll make people miss, and you won't notice that. It's a funny thing, but Tommy might understand what I'm saying here. But the better keepers you play against, you end up missing more because you have to hit corners. You can't put. Some keepers you can put it just here, spoons, as you well know. and the better
I was listening intently to what you were saying. Don't you dare, Tommy. Don't you get involved in this.
Bring it on, Tommy. Tell us what you think.
There you go. I'll just put that up for you. Hit it out the park.
Those are the days.
Well, look, it's all happening in the Wellington Phoenix penalty area. Conversely, it's not really happening in Michael Vought's area. And I know that they've been hampered somewhat by a red card in the second half, but even in the first half, the Phoenix weren't really creating out-and-out chances. Ify, as an attacker, talk us through why they weren't able to get Eza, Armiento more on the ball. I mean, I think throughout the course of the game, they had 4 shots, 2 on target. There was a header from Corbin Piper and obviously Alex Rufer's incredible strike for a goal. But why weren't they able to impact that Auckland FC defensive line a little bit more, like what we've seen in recent weeks with Newcastle Jets, for example, opening them up a little bit?
I just think Corica got it right on the day. I think, again, I talk about a group of winners. They were not going to have that. And it just coincided with the derby. But I think they set up the right way. I think they were suffocating. And I think it's so hard to get a minute on the ball. And then we know Eze likes to do a lot of sort of donkey work as well. But then if he's doing all of that work, when the opportunities do come, you know, not that I used to do a lot of work as a forward, but when I did,
but you know what it looks like, though. Ify, you watched a lot of hard work.
No, you get those one or two opportunities, and you're gone. You're absolutely shattered. You know, you've been running around pillar to post trying to get the ball back for your team, and then all of a sudden you get an opportunity and you miss it, and you're thinking, when's the next one going to come? And then, you know, it duly doesn't. And I think Eze does a lot of work, and I think they need to find a way to sort of share that around a little bit, so that he's a little bit fresher in those big moments. Because if you're in a game where you're going to go and get 2 or 3 chances, you need to be absolutely ruthless. You know, it's not like the other side where Jesse's thinking, I'll get 5, 6, 7 chances. Cosgrove's going to go, I'm going to get 7 or 8 crosses today. I need to make sure I put 1 or 2 of them on target. I've got a chance. That's not how the Phoenix are at the moment. That may change, but I think the way teams are setting up against them, it's not going to be the case.
Tommy, it's nice for Auckland FC to get that win in the derby and go 5 straight, but when you look at their run over the next month and a half, they've got a home game on New Year's Day against the Jets, I believe it is, and then it's the Mariners on January 24 when they finally return home again. So in a run of 7 games, most of them are in Australia.
It's nice and temperate in Australia in late December, early January.
It's either a really smart move to go out of Auckland over Christmas, New Year holiday period because no one's around, everyone buggers off, or it's absolutely idiotic to go to Australia and play in like 40-degree temperatures.
I think got Brisbane in there as well, mate. Yeah.
That stretch, mate, that's going to be really telling for how Auckland FC progress through the rest of the season, eh?
Absolutely, yeah, and it's always a crucial time around that December time where you're probably reaching halfway mark in seasons, and that's where you probably work out whereabouts you're going to be come the end of the season. When you're whereabouts you're sitting at the end of January is roughly where you're going to end up. You sometimes get those bolters that go on mad runs that get themselves up there, but no, they'll be looking to emulate what we did last year. You know, we didn't lose too many games over in Aussie last season. The sports science team there prepare the team really well for dealing with heat. I'm sure you've heard the training in the wet weather jackets when it's blazing hot, the saunas, just to try and get your body adapted to heat stress, because it's going to be inevitably hot and it's going to be tough in conditions against teams that are very good teams. So it's been done before, you know, they did it last season, and by no stretch it's going to be easy, but they're certainly well equipped to deal with those conditions.
I don't know how hot Vancouver and LA are in the middle of June, but that's what the All Whites will be faced with at the FIFA World Cup of 2026. Obviously, over the weekend, we saw Paul Eiffel's 4X teammate Rio Ferdinand stumble his way through the draw. Jeez, he was good, wasn't he? Talking about factors, mate. Anyway, we know that we're playing Belgium, Iran and Egypt. Tommy, as an All Whites player, as a man who's going to head back to the World Cup for the first time in 16 years, what was it like watching that draw and then finally realising who you will play against?
Yeah, it was exciting, anxious. You know, you're waiting to see, and then to be the last ball out, it's just an agonising wait, especially with all the shenanigans that was going on throughout the draw. But no, obviously to finally know who you're getting, when you're playing them, where it's going to be, that sort of realism sets in now that it's there, it's set in stone, and it's that sort of carrot to look forward to. Obviously, a lot of water under the bridge to go before then. Everybody that's eligible to play for the All Whites is going to be battling hard to make the plane. It's obviously a fantastic experience to be a part of a World Cup, and it can be a catalyst for players to go on and get moves and move up the career ladder. So it's going to be a good, exciting 6 months to watch all the Kiwi players, how they play, see who gets in the squad really, and it's like I say, there's a massive carrot there dangling for the players that do make it to go on and showcase themselves on the world stage.
And off the back of that, mate, there's a farewell or a couple of farewell games here in March. So it just seems like the I suppose my initial reaction is it feels like reward, and I know that there's responsibility in there as well, Tommy, but it feels like reward for everyone that's toiled away and has gone to the islands and has gone to, you know, strange parts of Europe to play matches to build this team. Now, if the runway and the path and the ability to do it on a stage, to do it in front of your friends and family, and it feels like that's now coming to fruition.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that the fans and families that might not be able to make the journey to the Americas to see the games get the chance to see their team in person, to give us a send-off, and to hopefully we can excite them and show the journey we've been on and put in some really good performances on home soil against some really good teams. And hopefully that'll be the case. You know, we're hearing that it's going to be a decent opposition coming over. So
who is it, Tommy?
Really looking forward to it.
You can't say that, mate, and not give us a hint.
I can't say. Well, there's nothing set in stone. There's rumours. You've probably heard all the rumours.
I've heard nothing.
Neither have I, actually. Yeah.
But sorry, coming back to the World Cup now. SoFi Stadium, like what, 80,000? It's like sunken into the ground. What a venue to play in. And then, thankfully, you talk about fans coming across to the World Cup, but West Coast Zone, LA, Vancouver, direct flights in from New Zealand, phenomenal. I think that's the best draw, IFE, that we could have hoped for, just in terms of locations, if nothing else.
I think location's unbelievable. I love Vancouver. Been once many years ago. Probably my favourite place outside of where I am.
Same, IFE. 100%, mate. Totally agree.
Love it. And when you're down that side, obviously you can go to Vegas. I probably shouldn't be going to Vegas with my history. Anyway,
I don't know.
We'll edit that bit out, mate. We'll edit it out.
Edit that bit out. I just think the draw as well. I'm obviously pretty neutral, not being a Kiwi, but I think it's an amazing draw. I think obviously Belgium, fantastic side, but if no disrespect to anybody, if you don't get humped by them, I think the other two are a chance. And with the potential of a third place being enough now, I think it's a massive opportunity to get out of the group, which would be fantastic. And I think you've got a group of players that are more than capable this time around.
Is that how you view it, Tommy? Don't get humped by Belgium and then take points off the others?
Yeah, I think so. You look at the other two, and listen, it's a cliche, but every game, there's never going to be an easy game. You're at the World Cup. Every team's had to qualify to get there other than the hosts. So
there is chat about this Belgium team declining, though, Tommy, as well, which I think you can probably address that quite directly if you want to. They're not, are they? It's still Kevin De Bruyne.
The Belgium team in decline is still a top team. I think they're in the top 10 in the world, aren't they? So
8th, mate, yeah.
They're a fantastic team. So that's one that if you get anything from, it's an absolute bonus. The other two, though, like you say, I think if we're on our game on any given day, we can give teams a real good game, as we've seen over the last few windows. And all it takes is for these teams to have an off day and us to be playing the way we have been, and we can put them to the sword and take results off them. And like Ify alluded to there, to get us one of the best third place finishers gets you through to the knockout stages. And that's been the goal all along. You know, we weren't just happy to qualify for the World Cup. The goal is to reach the knockout stages and make history as the first New Zealand men's team to do that.
They say everything's relative, though, eh? So if Belgium's 8th and slipping out of the top 10 when they have been right up the, you can understand why people are saying they're on the decline.
On the decline, yeah. Okay,
they're not really. They're not really. Looking at some of those matchups, though, Tommy, you must be absolutely frothing to go toe to toe with someone like Mo Salah. Yeah, okay, he's maybe out of form and possibly out of Liverpool this transfer window, but a guy that's done so much in the Premier League scene, the opportunity to face up against somebody like him at the World Cup, what a possibility, what an occasion, mate.
Yeah, it'll be a rematch of the Olympics when we played against Egypt. I think he played in that one, so he's obviously had a magnificent career and gone on to do the things he's done, but to face up against these players is what you dream of as a young kid, you know. And to play against these players on the world stage at the biggest tournament in the world is why we do it. And on the flip side of that, he is on obviously at that end of his career where maybe his consistency's waning a little bit. But listen, on his day, he's almost unstoppable. So I think it's going to be one of those that we have to hope that he's not on blob on the day, and we can get at them and make them fearful of us, really.
Yeah, that ceiling's still incredibly high, isn't it? But I want to take this somewhere else just for a second, because it's something that I still get asked of quite, frequently. And it's for Ify. Ify, do you just want to address why you've never made yourself available for the All Whites?
Mate, I've been asked that.
I got asked it last week. How come Paul Eiffel never played for the All Whites?
Yeah, I've been asked. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I'm happy to, but I made 10 appearances for Barbados, so that is why. But yeah, I remember going to the Bahrain game, and obviously I'd arrived I'd been at the Phoenix for about a year at that point, and I'm walking in with my family, and we've got all the white on, and honestly, I couldn't get into the ground. So many people stopped. Why are you not in the squad tonight? I've been here about 8 months. I don't think I've qualified.
Why are you asking me that? Have you been dropped on your head?
Oh, it's brilliant though, mate. Yeah, average kind of rugby punter, isn't it? Ify that shows up for the big games. It's like, where's Paul Eiffel?
Yeah, God, idiots. Well, 2009 qualifying, and then obviously going to the World Cup. 2010. It doesn't seem like that long ago, Tommy, but it's going to be 16 years when the World Cup rocks around. Now, you were a young kid playing for the All Whites on the greatest stage of them all. What have you learned, and how have you changed between that experience to right now, heading into 2026?
Well, the hairline's changed a little bit for a start. No, obviously, like you say, young. I was 20 at the time, young, fearless, didn't really know the magnitude of what was happening and what we achieved at that moment in time. And it wasn't until sitting down at the 2014 World Cup watching it when I was like, wow, I played in the last one. And that's the only time it really sank in for me. Before that, it was all just sort of your career's just going along and you just take it in your stride as a young player. But now it's obviously totally different end of the spectrum for me. I'm on the more experienced side. I'm probably more in a leadership role now than I ever was back then. Obviously, as a 20-year-old, I'd only come into the squad late. I very much lent on the experience and leadership of your Simon Elliott's, Nelly and Ive. Whereas I'm probably more in that boat now. And that's where I feel like I can add a lot of real value to the lads in the squad. Obviously, nobody in that squad other than me and Woodsy will have played at a World Cup before. So for them to be able to talk to us about those experiences and just pass on the knowledge of the game that we've accumulated over the years, I see a real value in my part to play is probably more so that, I'm a realist now that the centre-backs that are ahead of me in the pecking order are playing at a fantastic level, and my minutes are probably going to be limited, and that's fine. I'm like I say, I'm a realist. I've come to terms with that, no problem. And my job now is to make everybody in that squad be in the best shape mentally and physically for the upcoming games that we have. And I'm relishing that role. I'm really close to Darren Baisley, obviously worked with him for many a year. And that role I've got as the sort of go-between players and staff is one that I'm relishing and trying to sort of establish myself within. And I enjoy. The only reason I'm playing football is to remain part of the All Whites. To be brutally honest, if I'd have been told by Darren, look, you're no longer going to be selected, that would be me. I'd retire from football and move on to the next chapter. So that's how much it means to me, and how much I'm putting into every time I'm away in camp. I'm putting absolutely everything I can into it to make it the best camp possible for not only myself but the people around me.
That's brilliant. I think it speaks to the overall attitude in the squad and the camaraderie, Tommy.
It's funny though, what Tommy's talking about, Jacob, is like it's going to change in the next cycle, because we're going to have all of these guys that go to this World Cup, and so there will be a vast majority at 2030 that have been to that World Cup. So Tommy and Woodsy aren't like, the exception to the rule. Everybody's been there. Everybody's experienced it before, and they'll be so much better off for it.
The other thing, this is the thing I really love, Tommy, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit. this generation of players, if you do the maths, they were around about 8 to 12, I think it was, when you guys played at the World Cup. And it's that aspirational kind of element, it's that inspirational element that people I don't really think appreciate and understand, because it's what you did at that World Cup that has led these youngsters to be like, no, I'll have a crack at that, I'll have a go. And also, I'm not going to back down just because you're wearing, to your point, the red of Egypt in your Mo Salah. I want to stake my claim in this game and on the stage.
Yeah, and the very beginning of the qualification process, we sat around in a circle and people were talking about why they are where they are, what happened to get them to that point. And at the risk of embarrassing him, Ben Wayne actually said that. He said, he pointed at me and Woodsy and said, watching you guys. And yeah, it was
how does it make you feel,
quite
mate?
humbling. Yeah, very humbling. And to know that you've, like you say, alluded to, it almost inspired a generation is amazing.
To Tommy's point, like, leadership's incredibly important, and it's the discipline of the overall team. And there's going to be players, potentially with a 26-man squad, that, you know, it'll be very unlikely that they're going to see game time. And the leadership, the calming influence that Tommy does provide, I think is really, really crucial to tournament football. And the other thing, and I want to get your points on this, Tommy, how does World Cup football differ to other types of football? We've had the derby, so the audience is probably primed at the moment for intensity. But World Cup football,
must be on another level.
What makes it different? I mean, because you're playing so close to the edge of the cliff that any mistake, it feels like, has magnitude.
In terms of like the pressure cooker, like you say, that the pressure ramps up, the media attention heightens. Every day there's something else to do for media, for fans, and it all just builds up and builds up. And like I said, for me at the time, last time as a young player, I was buzzing. I was like, oh yeah, this is what it's all about. Is this what it's like every time? And then having had that gap to not have it ever again, it's almost like my career peaked at that moment and has never reached that high again, unfortunately. So hopefully, obviously, like I say, hopefully make the squad, but to be a part of that again and to help the other lads navigate that process will be something that's great to be a part of. But like you say, I think we're also in a very different position now where we're expecting to get results. I think we went into 2010 not really feeling like I mean, there was quiet confidence, but not that real sense of belief. And I don't feel like if we'd have finished bottom and lost all the games, I don't feel like there would have been too many people that said, oh, that's really disappointing. Like, it would have been, oh, you made the World Cup. Whereas now I know the group we've got, staff and players, just being there isn't enough now. We're going there to get results, to make the knockout stages, and that's that's the main differing factor from the 2010 group to this group, I feel.
I think Tommy's right. I think the standard has risen. I think the expectations have risen with that. And I look at it and I'm excited. You know, I think there's a real opportunity, and I think, you know, there was a couple of players playing at that level last time round, whereas now you're saying that the base level is pretty much European football, whatever that might look like. And I remember, and this is absolutely no disrespect to any of those people in the squad last time round, but you had guys still working a day job, you know, that to literally take time off work to go to a World Cup. And unfortunate for them that they don't get to go anymore, but I think that's where we're at now. It's an expectation level, and I think that's cool to be able to go into a tournament with that. And I think, again, that's what Tommy's saying, that's where he'll be able to come in. And I think I look back I didn't play in the World Cup or anything like that, but I remember playing in big competitions as a youngster. Sometimes it just passes you by, and then you realise the game's finished, and you're like, shit, I didn't really take any of that in, I didn't really impact it. And then the senior guys in the sport can help you with that sort of thing. You know, how do you impact it? How do you remain calm, focused? Because these guys have done it before. And like Spoon says, I think it bodes well for the future, because the next World Cup, so many of those guys will have done it, and they can pass that on. All of a sudden, absolutely normal for New Zealand to go to a World Cup and expect to get out of the group. And then it's all of a sudden, in 3 World Cups time, we're at the next level. We're going, well, New Zealand teams get to the last 16. That's what we do. And you just have to keep building. It's going to be a long process, but it's cool that we're having a conversation that we can do that. Like Tommy said, you know, if we'd have gone last time and got a point out of those 3 games, I think everybody would have gone, oh, how cool was it to be at the World Cup? You come back unbeaten, it's like, well, okay, what's next? And it's been a long time between drinks, but I think with the group that they've got, I think, you know, the sky's the limit. So it's pretty exciting. Like you said, I'm pretty neutral, so I get to claim England a little bit because I'm half English. I get to kind of claim a little bit of New Zealand. I'll certainly be claiming the other home nations as well if England is shit. And with my Caribbean background, my Jamaican brothers, if they manage to make it as well.
If they make it.
I've got a lot of dogs.
Mate, there's horses in the race, Ivy. And
horses, dogs, yeah, I don't mind. Let's go.
Tommy, what was the moment of 2010 for you? Because Shane Smeltz pops up with, we're not even going to talk about VAR, by the way, because apparently there was offside. But Shane Smeltz pops up with a goal against the world champs. When he just sends us into full flight with that last-minute equaliser against Slovakia, what was the feeling in those moments for you?
Euphoric, really, yeah. The Slovakia one especially, you know, any time you get a goal in injury time to get a result, I think the emotions are obviously heightened that much more, and that was brilliant. And I remember the celebrations for that goal, and we all ran into the corner. And what we didn't realise was there's a big drop. There's a big drop, like just beyond where Reedy stopped. And I think it was Brocky's nearly gone. Yeah, like
is there a safety net there, mate, or is it just a straight drop?
No. It was just straight drop. And
where the hell's Osh?
Obviously clocked it late, and we're sort of we're celebrating, but trying not to fall over this precipice. Yeah, but that was obviously that was the sort of standout moment. And when we got the point from that game, it gave us confidence going into Italy, and we knew that they weren't at the peak of their powers, and obviously to go 1-0 up against them was brilliant. The final whistle of Italy as well. Unfortunately for me, after that game, I got dragged in for drug testing, so I couldn't celebrate the result there, which was a shame.
Drug testing's horrible, isn't it? It's the most deflating thing because you can hear everything going on around you, but then you're
just sitting in a room,
just waiting
to pee.
Just
well,
waiting.
A recent case of that, John McGinn, wasn't it? Scotland have qualified for their first tournament. How long? And he can't celebrate with his teammates. He's got to go and sit in the drug testing room, and I don't understand why they can't just send a chaperone into the dressing room with you to be a part of that at that moment, because you never get that back.
I think the best headline I saw was New Zealand win 1-1 with Italy, which I still think is fantastic. And you are in a little white cubicle with some rando, and you're just waiting to piss.
Yeah, and obviously at the end of the game, dehydrated. It's not happening for a
Angry.
while, so just disappointing. But no, obviously after that we celebrated a little bit, but knowing we still had one more game and the possibility to get out of the group. So again, in football, it's so hard to celebrate too much too soon, because there's always another game around the corner that you have to prepare for, and it is difficult at times. We even found that with the A-League last year. You know, we won the plate, and then we've got games to prepare for, because you want to roll into the playoffs with the postseason with momentum, and you sort of win it, celebrate it a little bit, and then you're back to work. So it's hard. Then football's hard in that regard. Definitely.
What was the reaction of the drug tester? Was he keeping his professionalism high? Because you've just taken a point, so you're pretty stoked. Was he like, oh man, geez, what a great result for New Zealand? Or was he like,
the human punching bags?
Please pee in the cup.
I didn't speak a word of English, so that was a real enthralling room to be in.
So you didn't become fast friends.
So hold on, are you playing charades about the process to do a drug test? Is that what's...
Oh no, he's just pointing at things and...
Say no more. Say no more. We don't need to know what he was pointing at, Tommy.
Tommy's just made the perfect noise for drug testing.
Shall we move on to the 4Xs?
Yes.
Because earlier we were talking about the incredible matchups that will be happening at FIFA World Cup 2026. Well. He's got a list, does he? Yeah. In a lengthy career like Tommy's, there must have been some incredible teammates and adversaries. So, Tommy, can you do us the honour on the Unused Subs of revealing your 4Xs?
Well, I think first I'm going to give the special commendations to the ones that didn't make the list.
Yes, Tommy.
Didn't quite make the cut.
I've got my thought. Honestly, I spent about half an hour trying to decipher who should get into the team, who shouldn't.
Are you playing around the formations as well, mate? Are you going like a box or are you going like a diamond? Yeah.
No goalkeeper, eh?
No goalkeeper, and then just four players. And so who hasn't made it? Yes. Ibrahimovic, David Villa.
So hold up, stop.
No, let him go, let him go.
Hey, what a start that is.
Wow. Sorry, mate. Ibrahimovic has just been cut.
Well, it's his fault. He cut my eye open, so I couldn't play.
Oh, stuff him then, Tommy.
David Villa, obviously a World Cup winner.
Wow.
Bastian Schweinsteiger, World Cup winner. Son Heung-min, Mo Salah's on there from the Egypt in the Olympics. Jesus. Tony Cruz, Thiago Silva, Marcelo, Chiellini. And that's the one. I stopped at that. I was like, I can't.
That's eye-watering. The guys who have missed out.
These must be some special players, Tommy, because that is a high line.
It's higher than the Phoenix are playing.
So I've gone Fabio Cannavaro. This is my team now. Fabio Cannavaro, obviously captained the World Cup winning team. I've got Neymar in there, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Wayne Rooney.
Good Lord.
Jesus Christ. I think that beats your side, Ify.
I don't know. I saw Ify's. Ify's was a good one.
I reckon that's a good game. I reckon it's a good game.
Ronaldo plays against himself, does he?
No comment.
Tommy, just quickly though, give us some context. When did you play these four?
Cannavaro at the World Cup. Neymar was in the Olympics. Cristiano was in the Confederations Cup, and Rooney was in MLS.
Hardest to play against, mate. Who was the most impressive out of those four?
Neymar could not get near him. Obviously it was before he moved to Barcelona, I think, or either it was on the cards. I don't think he was quite there yet. But you heard all the stories and the rave reviews about him, and you come up against him, and obviously being a fairly old school defender, I was like, right, early doors, I need to try and
land one,
boot him on it.
Yeah.
But he's so clever. He doesn't let you get close enough to lay a glove on him. And there's a picture I've got saved. I don't know if I can find it, but of me basically, he's turned me inside out, and I'm lunging, and I've got hold of his shirt, just for the look on my face says it all.
Just hanging on.
It was a tough afternoon, that one.
So when Plan A doesn't work, Tommy, and you're trying to boot him and you can't, what's Plan B?
Oh, exactly. So you're just like,
there isn't one.
Please take pity on us.
Mercy, honestly, you're going for mercy.
Game, we lost 3-0, but they stopped at 3. Let's put it that way, and they were just toying with us. And fair play to them for not embarrassing us, but we honestly could not get near them. There's a good clip on YouTube of me getting rainbow flicked.
Is that a low point of your career?
Well, it depends which way you look
at it. That's good point,
I got rainbow flicked by a Brazilian.
Yes, that's not bad.
What a life goal that is.
Cole Peverley got nutmegged 3 times in the space of 2 seconds by Marcelo, mate.
That
just got destroyed.
I'm interested to hear what it was like coming up against Wayne Rooney. Okay, it's the twilight of his career in the MLS, but we all know what kind of player he was as a youngster, and strong, tough. What was it like going up against Rooney?
Just to be on the same pitch as him. Was amazing, and he's a nice fella as well. Like after the game, you can have a chat to him, and real good guy. And I know players that have played against him previously that have said similar things. But like you say, he's a born winner. He was still trying. Obviously, the great clip of him at DC where he chases
tracks back tackle,
and sets up the goal for his team. So he wasn't out there for a retirement holiday. Was putting it in, so it was always tough coming up against him. I think I played against him twice. I think he scored once, but yeah, amazing to test yourself against players that have had the careers like these guys have had.
I want to jump into Cannavaro because he's a really intriguing one. What was he, about 5'8", 5'9"? Like he is really, really small, especially when you compare him to the traditional Italian centre backs. But you're watching him from afar, Tommy, and What is it like seeing somebody that is given the armband, has raised the World Cup, and is not what you'd expect in the profile of an international defender?
Yeah, I mean, have you ever watched the highlight reels? And
Yeah,
he
mate.
was just an absolute warrior, and I loved watching him. Obviously, even before that World Cup, as a centre back, you look up to certain players, and he was one of those. And yeah, like I say, an absolute warrior. The quality he had on the ball as well, and to be as successful in that position with the stature he was is just testament to how intelligent he was as well. Because a lot of defending is reading the game. If you're in too many duels, you're doing something wrong. It's all about interceptions, reading play. And I think Maldini came out with a quote once that if you've had to make a tackle, you've made a mistake already.
Yes, I love that.
And he's obviously from that ilk, the Italian defenders that have traditionally been so strong. And I couldn't not put him in once I played against him.
Now, I'm really curious. It's a Ronaldo off. So, Ify, which Ronaldo did you select?
When I played against him, it was the 2004 FA Cup final. So it was the young Ronaldo. It was the tricky Ronaldo, step over, drag backs.
With the blonde
proper
bits coming out the top.
Yeah, the weirdest haircut. Yeah, like a
Noodles.
It wasn't uniform.
Noodles,
Yeah,
yeah.
noodles.
Udon.
It was ramen. It was ramen.
Ramen Takara.
Just dumped on, bit of colour. No, but he was ridiculous on the day. But like he wasn't what he turned into. I think he's turned into one of the best nines ever. But I think then he was an out-and-out winger. He didn't really come inside. He went to the byline. Then he maybe cut inside. I remember he did a Rabona cross. Cherkis from the weekend. He did that 20 odd years ago. Yeah, little drag and then a Rabona crossing for Van Nistelrooy to try and get on the end of. But yeah, so that was the version, the young version.
Tommy, which version of Ronaldo did you face?
Well, it was a 2017 Confederations Cup, so it was a lot more of that out-and-out nine. Didn't really do too much between the boxes, but came alive around the box. The movement, the leap on him, and again, he's relatively quiet until the ball gets near the box, and then you're like, where is he? Like he's moving all over the place. He's taking you one way to go another. Just impressive. And I've got a great picture and a little video of when I tackled him, like in the middle of the pitch. So that's in my highlight reels for sure.
That's up on the wall somewhere.
You've come up against someone that's obviously in the conversation for greatest ever player, and to get a little moment of one up on him is a fantastic memory.
Yeah, you may not have got Neymar, but you got Cristiano. That's something you can be really proud of, Tommy.
Tommy as well, plaudits to Tommy. First guest on the podcast, which is great to have you back, mate. But slight issue is that you set our expectations a little bit too high. So your Roy Keane story not only got picked up by the likes of Jimmy Bullard and a couple of the former players, but it's also our highest ever viewed clip on Instagram.
It's like 50 or 60,000 views.
65,000 now, mate.
Just been absolutely crazy.
So I'll put you on the spot. Any other stories that you've got?
Maybe this is a good.
Just give us a bit of a pump up.
Yeah. Give us another story, mate. We'll put it out there. Yeah. Pump it up.
I told you all the best ones. That's why I do reviews. I can't remember which one I told you now. It was that long ago.
You told us about my nan can run faster than you and she's dead.
And that's why
you
lost
also
the
told
war.
us about the Hungarian lads.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was the best one.
Okay. All right. Has Roy Keane been in touch since then? Because obviously it went all around the world. Did he say, hey, what are you doing telling stories out of school, Tommy?
No, he hasn't, to be fair. It's probably beyond. I don't think he's really a social media watcher, is he?
That said, Tommy, he has done a piece which is awesome for Sky Sport in the UK. So he's been asked to do punditry, where he has to rate Christmas trees. And it's pretty bloody good. It's so good because the reviews aren't long; they're only about 3 or 4 words, mate. But it gets right to the point. Yeah.
How has he agreed to do that?
I know that's the thing. Yes, no, that's the thing that I was like, why are you doing this? Yeah. Either that or it's phenomenal AI,
which it could be. All right, it's going to be awesome to see you guys in action next year at the World Cup, and and taking on the likes of Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne. And I know that you'll do us all proud when you get there, mate. Thanks so much for joining us, mate. I appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me back on the show. Really appreciate it and enjoy it, having the conversation with you guys. So keep up the good work, guys.